And that's what she said. Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about that dinosaur thingy, right? Out in, Congo.
We should say this is now part 2 of episode 20. So
well, they can figure it out. They're smart.
Yeah. So technically, episode 21.
Take 2. No. This is part 2.
So, of Geek Talk MD, the Slidecast.
Part 2. And we have with us again, still
returning.
Yes, believe it or not,
we've got Lionel, our board game guru, and from deepest, darkest Ohio, in our American
man.
We've got Jed.
Hey, Jed.
Or at least I hope we've got Jed.
Well, you got someone.
Okay.
Someone.
Maybe we got Snoop Dogg.
Hell yeah, bud. Yeah, man.
Okay, so Jed, we were just talking about like the so-called Mokele Mbembe dinosaur that's in the Congo. And correct me if I'm wrong. There was something recently regarding dinosaur sightings again.
Yeah. This one's actually in I think it's Arizona, Tombstone.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Arizona was apparently had a pterodactyl in like the 1800s. There's supposedly a picture of it.
Seriously?
But,
no way.
Yeah, but they have a bunch of them online that are mostly fake. But like, I guess it's possible there's one laying around in someone's attic. I mean,
that's a big.
It happens. It does happen. And then recently, apparently in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
They have this thing called the Oklahoma Raptor that people have seen. They have no, like, I don't know if it's like communities know about it. You know, like how some communities will know about a ghost that lives in someone's house and all believe it. I don't know if it's like that or if it's like just a few people and have heard about it. Then there's another one called the Texas Rumblers, and they apparently sound like thunder.
Ah, interesting. Well, I heard about that one about the mastodon that they all found, and from that I've been hearing a whole lot of more. If you want to say
a mastodon.
Yeah.
So basically, a giant furry precursor to an elephant.
A mountain
boomer.
What?
Oh, sorry. I was looking for the name of that thing. It's called a mountain boomer in Texas.
Mountain boomer.
A mountain boomer?
What is a mountain boomer?
Yeah. What the locals call a raptor.
Really?
Because the flapping of its wings sounds like thunder.
No, because I guess they emit a low growl.
Oh, raptor, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say a raptor is a...
Well, technically the term raptor is a bird. No, velociraptor is a ground dinosaur.
Yeah, velociraptor one.
But there's more than one type of raptor that's on the ground.
But the term raptor is supposed to mean bird of prey.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever it was.
They even said that in Jurassic Park, so meh.
Well, you know what? I didn't pay attention to the poke evolving.
To the what?
The poke evolving, Pokemon Go. Like,
oh my god!
Really, it's creepy.
Are we really going to go into that? I mean, seriously.
We just did.
Seriously, South Park actually predicted this 17 years ago.
Predicted what?
No way.
Pokemon Go. There was an episode where they came up with this Japanese company came up with a game called Chin Pokemon, and you remember it?
Yeah, Chin Pokemon.
Yeah, and basically the whole episode practically predicts this whole Pokemon Go phenomenon.
Okay, but that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. So obviously, we should recap what we're talking about for the people that maybe didn't listen to the first one. Okay. And I'm thinking that maybe Moses in his senility is forgotten as well. So this episode is actually about what?
Just you wait until I find my teeth, and I'll give you a whooping, boy.
So what's the episode about for anyone who may
know what that?
Cryptozoology.
Yeah, cryptozoology. Basically, monsters such as Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, that sort of thing. That the mainstream media and scientific community don't believe exist, and yet there is, a possibility, no matter how slim, that it could.
Yeah, I mean, certain things. What we talked about in the previous episode, obviously, we talked about Bigfoot, and what else did we talk about? The Patterson films, obviously, for Bigfoot.
Yeah, the Chupacabra.
Yeti.
the Yeti,
Yeah.
Mokele Mbembe.
Right. That's where we left off, and
yeah.
that's where we started in.
Yeah, but I mean, just to clarify though, there have been certain creatures that in the end it turns out that cryptozoologists were correct. The most famous examples are colossal squids.
Yep, that's true. Good point.
And also you've got the
Well, actually, before you go on, what's a colossal squid? In case people don't know.
It's a colossal squid.
Very good.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Very good.
Let's define colossal.
Truth in advertising, boys and girls.
No, I'm kidding.
Now that being said, there's also and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. I've never actually heard anyone say the word, so forgive me if I get this wrong. Coelacanth, which is a type of fish that for the longest time everybody thought didn't exist or was extinct or something like that, and it was only proven like within the past decade or two that it did.
Was that the one with the big eyes and the big mouth and the teeth?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's also a Pokemon.
Oh God.
Oh God. Why?
Again with the Pokemon. Now I'd like to point out that there was an incident a couple of years back that may actually indicate that the megalodon still exists.
What is that?
The megalodon? It's
a really, really big shark.
Yeah, it's the prehistoric precursor to the great white shark. It is a giant shark that basically 3 times bigger than a great white. At least 3 times bigger. Now the thing is, no one knows for certain if they're extinct because no one knows how big great white sharks get, because once they get past a certain size, they just go deep.
Right.
And
what did you just say?
Yeah.
Oh, Lionel, you went there first. It's the first time. It's always been Moses.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And also, no one really knows how long great white sharks live because no one's ever been able to keep one alive in captivity.
Yeah.
Now, about a year or two ago, I think it was a year ago, a great white that had been tagged, suddenly a part of it was found by the team that was tracking its GPS, and they discovered that it had been eaten. And from the way it had been eaten, this great white shark was killed by another shark. But from the size of the markings and such like, the damage, this other shark must have been at least twice the size of this, of the other great white, of its victim.
Yeah.
And possibly even bigger.
How big was the victim?
As big as, pretty much the average size of recorded for a great white.
Which is? I don't even know.
Big.
Okay.
There's a famous picture of a whole bunch of scientists standing in the mouth of a megalodon. Like there's 8 of them.
A megalodon with its jaws wide open, is basically about 6 foot from its bottom row to its top row.
No, it's way more than that.
Okay, well, still, that's huge!
Their weight's a pants shitter. I mean,
yeah, we're talking brown shorts time here.
Yeah.
But so anyway, but getting back to such things. So you mentioned the dinosaurs. But what about? I guess if we're going into dinosaur territory, then the Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah, well.
So who here is of Scottish descent?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Not me.
Okay,
No,
Lionel, have you got back?
I like Scotch.
No,
I like
Scotch.
Scotch.
The closest I get to Scotland is Portugal, and last time I checked, they're not that close.
Okay, so
the closest I got was Connecticut.
Okay, so no bagpipes.
Yeah. No bagpipes.
Maybe I'll put in a Billy Connolly clip. But
Stay away, or I'll be kicking your hairless pink mahookie.
Sure.
But now, as I recall, the earliest known sighting of the Loch Ness monster goes back like almost 1,000 years to like one of the like a Christian saint that apparently chased off the monster.
Chased off the monster.
Yeah, it was attacking a child or a woman or something, and he heroically said, certain, begone foul pit of the demon of the pit or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody was in the spirits.
Yeah. Or either that or mushrooms or something like that. It's but
Too much of the holy wine.
But when you're talking about stuff like that, why would the guy lie?
Well,
what's the motivation? Like, there's no TV, there's no cable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but there's still a local bar.
Yeah, but when, going back...
There's a local bar? Yeah, maybe. So what is he going to go?
Just,
hey, guys, I just chased off a monster, and now he looks like
there's women there.
Yeah, I mean, just because he's a saint doesn't mean he's a priest. So vows of celibacy and all that really
and
don't
the other
apply.
way around, because he's a priest doesn't mean he's a saint either.
Yeah,
so.
Hey, there have been popes. There have been popes.
Anyway, that's a different discussion altogether. But either whether or not he actually, at least if he's the first person to say, okay, good. But
well, the first known recorded sighting, that he actually wrote it down.
But since then, there's been, a lot of what they want to say photographic evidence of things in the water and, remnants thereof. I had heard about somebody who had claimed that his boat was capsized by something in this water.
Yeah, there was a guy, a speedboat driver. A guy was trying to break the world record for the fastest speedboat, and his boat hit something in the water. And the boat pretty much disintegrated around him.
Oh, really?
And he was killed, if I remember correctly. He was killed
Really?
instantly. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. So you see, in instances like that, where it's not someone who's trying to take fame or make any claim, being dead is being dead. And if he hits something out there...
Yeah, but for all intents and purposes, it could have been a log. It could have been just like choppy water and poor boat design.
True, but if he's trying to beat a record, then there has to be enough eyes on the water. Please,
seriously? I mean, let's talk Evel Knievel and his rocket cycle. Going over Snake River Canyon. The guy, no safety standards whatsoever. He didn't consult with anybody who was an expert with rocket sleds or anything like that. He just built something that he thought would work. So.
True.
And I mean, he was lucky to get out of that alive.
Okay, but that's a different thing altogether, because in this case, this person is trying to beat a speed record. So somebody has to be timing.
Yes.
And so for it to beat an actual record, you have to have people there to witness.
Witnesses, yeah.
Yeah, at the very least, the very least, the observers from Guinness. Now, let's recap. What's Guinness?
It's a drink, and it's wonderful.
Yes.
So anyway,
so the likelihood that they were all drunk is pretty high.
But it's not anyway. So it's not the same thing. In this case, he's trying to do something, and okay, you're right. It could be a piece of wood in the water that maybe people didn't see. But some of these other things.
Yes, it's without question. There's some evidence that is provocative, to say the least.
And from what I understand as well, one of the things that's a little bit more unique about the Loch Ness is how deep it actually is.
Yes.
So who knows, right? Because there's been plenty of people that have gone down there in what are those things
submersibles?
Called? Well, diving suits and whatnot have gone down, and they either can't see very well or whatnot. So there's more than enough things that could be hiding down there.
Yeah, when's James Cameron going to go down there? like he did with the Titanic.
Yeah, well, it's not filled with gold, so.
Well, neither's the Titanic. And even if they did find anything, he left it all there.
Yeah.
You know what the deepest point of Loch Ness is?
What?
You know what the deepest point of Loch Ness is?
What's the deepest point of Loch Ness?
755 feet.
That's not very deep.
No, that is way deep.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I mean, compared to oceanic depths.
It's still really, really deep.
It's really deep.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's only a mile wide.
22 square miles.
What?
It's 22 square miles, so mile wide.
The loch is long, but at certain points, like from one shore to the other, is only like a mile.
Yeah.
I thought Canadians used kilometers.
For some things.
Okay.
Well, Loch Ness is in the English Isles. And
British
the
Isles.
British Isles, sorry, pardon me. I apologize. And they use miles.
Yeah, that's true, they do.
Interesting.
Every military, though, uses kilometers, but the English and the Americans use miles.
Go figure. But yeah, I mean, there's a photograph of a fin, if I remember correctly, and there's all these, silhouette-y photographs, and that one picture of humps beside the castle in Inverness or whatever.
Yep.
But the most famous photograph has been completely and utterly debunked.
The one with the head just popping out?
Yeah.
Looked completely fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Did they ever say what that was?
A guy with a guy modified a toy boat.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah.
That sounds cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So that was debunked.
But there was a big difference between that and the Bigfoot, for instance.
Is there?
Oh, you talking about the Patterson film again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when you reflect back, it's hard for something to hold up to criticism after getting filmed, and the Bigfoot held more or less. I mean, you couldn't definitively say that wasn't an actual Bigfoot, whereas a Loch Ness, not so much.
Well, without question, the Patterson film is like no other crypto monster out there has anything that comes close to the Patterson film.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. So outside of the Loch Ness monster, can you recall? I remember that there was something about Google Earth.
Oh, well, no, that's you're getting ahead of us.
All right, am I?
But there was a hoax. Well, not technically not a hoax. A film crew was doing a documentary about the Loch Ness monster, and they had created this this mock-up of the Loch Ness monster, complete with its own skeletal system and innards. But
wow.
Yeah, kind of like Bruce the shark, the robot shark for Jaws.
For Jaws, yeah.
But shaped like an underwater dinosaur. But they lost it.
They lost it.
They lost it.
How
do
big
you
was it?
lose it?
It broke free of its moorings and it floated away.
Okay.
And a few weeks later, it beached on the shores of the Loch, but only like most of its outer part had been stripped away, so all that was left was the skeletal system and some of the innards.
Neat.
And people, coming across this thing were freaking out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. For like a couple of days there, everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's Loch Ness and it's dead, Loch Ness monster and it's dead." And then finally, this film crew said, "Oh, wait a second, that's ours.
That's ours. Our bad." Oh, that's funny.
There's also on YouTube a video, or a couple of videos, people had done with their phones. And the Thames River, the main river that runs through London, England, of something that was swimming in the Thames, and at this point, still it was several months ago, and like there has been no explanation for this. No one knows what it is. I mean, if you go onto YouTube and look for Thames sea monster, it's there, and again, you're like, wow, what There's just no explanation for it. It just basically looks like some kind of sea serpent.
Like for real?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by sea serpent? Do you mean like classic dinosaur, big long head?
Well, no, you don't see a head, but you definitely see something's back sort of crest and then submerge a couple of times.
Interesting.
Okay.
And it does seem to be snake-like, but big.
And when was this done?
These were posted on YouTube a few months ago.
Oh.
Were there a lot of videos?
2 at my recollection.
Oh.
Interesting.
Then again, there's been no further sightings since then, so Who knows?
Maybe it's been captured.
Well, does the Thames go all the way through like the country?
You know what? I don't know. Okay. Anybody else have any other monsters to add? Anyone ever come across? I seem to recall someone mentioning the New Jersey Devil. Has anyone ever come across that? And I don't mean the hockey team.
Oh, I said I saw the X-Files episode on it, but that's about it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard of it.
Well, then, last but definitely not least, there's the Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
And you had an interesting story, which I've been actually anticipating. So go.
Okay. Now, to recap, the Kraken was originally a Norse piece of folklore, and that the original early sightings were here, off the shores of Newfoundland.
Yep. I had heard that. You know where I heard that from?
Me.
That's right. You remembered. Awesome. You're taking your meds. Wonderful.
I did good, George. Tell me about the rabbits.
Okay, you were saying.
But there's been like the Kraken in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Wait a second. When you're saying awesome movie, which one?
Kraken.
No, which awesome movie?
Clash of the Titans.
Which one?
The first one.
The original or the
yes.
remake?
The original.
Release the Kraken.
The original. Okay, I'll give you that.
It was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
And let this day be cursed by we who ready to wait. The Kraken!
Yes, that's right. It was also in Pirates of the Caribbean. And then ended up as a rotting mass on the beach. But there was fairly recently a big deal because the Google Earth satellite photographs had photographed something that looked like a monstrous, absolutely huge, beyond even the level of a colossal squid-sized squid in a photograph from one of the satellites for Google Earth.
Where did it spot it?
Near the South Pole, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Because one of the things I was curious about was, the Google Earth cameras capture a lot of things.
Yeah.
And, here it caught a glimpse of something in the South Pole. So I highly doubt that there are people just sort of sitting there watching frame by frame all the various cameras or whatnot. So how would they have spotted this one thing on this particular shot?
It turns out that it was the reason why it showed up and it was spotted wasn't because it was a giant squid or anything, but because it was, according to Google Earth, they were planning to photograph it anyway because it's basically this massive rock that sticks out of the water in that area.
Oh.
But from the angle that it was photographed, it looked like a giant squid coming out of the water. But they didn't explain that when they posted the picture to begin with. They just posted this picture along with everything else.
That makes sense.
I thought that they had some actual video evidence this came out about Kraken because they didn't call it a Kraken. It was just a massive ass squid.
Yeah,
but
it just looks like the sail part of a squid's head sticking out of the water, but it's freaking huge.
When you say it's butt, right?
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. Now when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung.
But no.
The top of the head.
The top of the head, yeah. The opposite
Squid doesn't have a sail on top of his head.
That sort of triangular protuberance.
Yeah, it's on his butt.
That's its butt?
That's his butt.
Okay.
The things swim backwards.
Okay, so long as that's not its penis.
No.
Oh,
no,
there we
two
are.
of those.
That was inevitable.
And from the looks of it, it's circumcised.
Circumcision confirmed.
But
all right. So where are we? We're 5:48. Edit here.
But anyway, I'm pretty much exhausting my land, my Earth-based cryptozoology stuff. But should we include maybe some UFO stuff?
Well, as you were talking about the picture of the rock and how people thought that it was a squid, it sort of lends kind of well to the outer space discussion, because for years they were looking at this image of some mountainous areas on Mars, and they were calling it some alien must have put this image of a face on Mars.
Oh yeah, it's Elvis.
Well, they called it a lot of things, right? But obviously, it was proven that it wasn't, and it's a phenomenon that's known. Although I honestly I don't know the scientific term for it, but it's when your eye.
I'm sorry.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Could you repeat
Okay.
that?
Peridosis or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's when your mind makes images up out of things that aren't actually there.
Yeah,
So,
it kind of fills in the blanks.
yeah, exactly. So they've done tests where they had a computer generated image of just white noise, so it's blacks and whites and grays, on a screen. So it doesn't actually make up any type of picture. So they put this in front of various people, like in a supermarket or in a mall or something like that, and they just have it sitting there with nothing to look at, or just sitting there in a giant frame. And people are obviously going to stop and look at it and not really know what it is or whatnot. But then as soon as they put a sign on the bottom of it, like unicorn, people will stand there and people will say, "Ah, I see it."
If you stare at these things long enough, you're supposed to see some kind of hidden three-dimensional picture.
Oh, yeah, look, it's a sailboat. You saw it too? Damn it! What? I've been staring at this thing for a week now, from opening till closing, and I can't see a goddamn thing!
Yes, I see it. Do you see it? It goes like this. Oh, yes, I see it. And then they take the sign away, and then they put another sign, balloons. And then after a few minutes, guarantee people are going to stand there. Oh, I see it. It goes just like this, and it goes like that.
Kind of reminds me of that scene in The Matrix when Neo surprises Cypher just before you find out that Cypher's betraying everybody, and he says, you see code. All I see is blonde, brunette, and redhead.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kinda,
Yeah.
because he's actually reading the code, so it could actually say that. But in this case, it is actually just white noise, and this is something that the humans do, is that we try to make images out of things that aren't actually images. And I know that a lot of the theories about Loch Ness and Bigfoot and Yeti and all these things, in part, could be part of that. That being said, though,
kind of like these people that see like the face of Jesus in a grilled cheese sandwich,
or in a chip, or in a stain on their wall, or this type of thing. So, or even when, just the game where you sit and you look at the clouds and you say what you think a cloud looks like, right? And it's your brain just sort of putting pieces together, and based on your worldly experience, it'll make different images depending on you. Now, that being said, Sasquatch actually has some, if you want to say evidence, but there's plenty of things like UFOs, for example, that in many cases could be the same type of thing. You see clouds, you see.
So
when you start getting into UFOs,
Yeah.
it gets a little
Yeah, but I mean,
weirder, right? Because you get
yeah.
a lot more credible people, or at least feels more credible, commenting on sightings, like full on, like aircraft pilots.
Yes.
And
A lot of them.
fighter pilots.
And
these guys
and
through
a
massive
president
training.
of the United States.
Sorry?
Several.
A president of the United States again.
I don't necessarily say that's credible, but
Yeah,
anyway.
considering it's
Exactly.
considering it's Jimmy Carter, I kind of agree with you.
Was it
No, I
Reagan as
totally
well?
agree with you.
I thought Reagan was also cited a.
Well,
We're
with
going
Reagan,
into a
you-
massive topic now. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I don't know whether.
keeping in mind that Reagan by his second term was already like well into Alzheimer's. Let's
Although that being said, they did say that the Star Wars program was actually not so much for earthly defense, but alien defense.
Ooh.
Right. One of the
That's what
rumors.
they said. That's one of the rumors.
Yeah, conspiracy theorists.
Mwahaha.
Okay, we'll save conspiracy theories for another episode.
Okay, fair enough.
But also John Lennon.
If you tell me ahead of time, I can probably find some evidence. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
Don't be. No, but yeah, John Lennon apparently also saw a UFO at one point in New York, and he mentions it in one of the last songs he recorded before he died.
There's UFOs over New York, and I ain't too surprised.
Yeah. Did he see it surrounded by black, like on a person's shirt or something like that?
No, it was. Okay. The line in the song is, "There's UFOs over New York. You just gotta hang around."
But you know what? That being said, you know, when celebrities or politicians or whomever are saying they saw certain things, I don't put too much weight to any of that, to be honest. But in Central, no, I really don't. But when you have people, like apparently one of the most recordings come actually, I think, out of Central America, and what ends up happening is when multiple people are taking images at the same time, and then they post those in, that kind of stuff, you know, I find pretty freaky. And there is a lot of different instances where you're in the middle of the day and you see something up in the air flying in formation.
Look up in the sky.
Or you see, you know, fighter jets chasing something down. You know, now, I'm not necessarily saying they're all alien, but, you know, there's enough footage of multiple independents taking images of the same thing. That kind of stuff I find most interesting. You know, when you talk about astronauts as well that come back and say, you know, after the fact they've seen certain things and there were certain images and whatnot, you know, I don't know.
That's you know what? When I find someone who's famous commenting on something like that, I actually lends more credibility for me.
Oh yeah,
because they're not looking for more celebrity.
Well, that isn't necessarily true.
It depends on
why would Reagan talk about that? Like, I mean, is he really looking as a political move? Why would he talk about that he spotted it? Or President Carter? Or
well, I mean, we're talking when you're getting into the subject of Carter. This is the same man that was attacked by a killer rabbit.
Look, that rabbit's got a vicious streak a mile wide. It's a killer.
What?
What?
Oh, you don't?
Yeah,
you don't know the killer rabbit story?
No, apparently not.
I don't know if I want to.
Apparently, he was out fishing. I can't remember if it was at Camp David or something like that, but he was out in the middle of a lake on a rowboat, and a crazed rabbit or hare suddenly leapt into the water, swam out to his boat, and tried to attack him.
It was probably one of those government experiment rabbits.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
Our Camp David.
And according to records, you know, he tried to fend it off with an oar, and he was able to get away. But yes, killer rabbit, run away! It was
big pointy teeth.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, it snarled at him and it bared its teeth at him, and yeah.
So, anyway, I'm not even gonna start.
But that's Jimmy Carter.
All right. Fine.
But I mean, seriously, I mean, for anybody that says, okay, a celebrity says something, it's not like they're actually, you know, out to become more celebratory or more famous. I only have two words for you: Kim Kardashian.
It depends on the celebrity, obviously. Yeah. I mean, Kim Kardashian's what would it be? A news whore?
Yeah, whore. Just
look
whore.
at me.
Just whore.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, with more credible, famous people, I think it becomes okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
When you're talking about like aerospace engineers and fighter pilots and astronauts, then I'm wondering. But when celebrities start saying something, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, you know, I said I don't really listen to the celebrities, but you're right. It really does depend on the celebrity. But
I don't know. Oprah Winfrey is pretty reliable.
Oprah Winfrey?
I'm just kidding. She's a celebrity.
She saw an alien?
Oprah Winfrey saw a UFO?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think she talked about it.
Or was she giving them away? You're gonna get a UFO! You're gonna get a UFO! Everybody gets a UFO!
Secret government UFOs to everybody!
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I mean, even now, you know, now that people have those drone helicopters, obviously there's more and more sightings all the time of people saying they see certain things. But that being said, you know, I think that's just muddied the waters a little bit. I still think that there's a high probability that something was seen. over these various years. But
yeah, I mean, when you consider the size of the universe, and I mean, as Douglas Adams put it,
space, it says, is big, really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the street to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space. Listen.
And if it's practically infinite in size, then there must be a ridiculous number of planets out there that can support life. And then again, I mean, what is life?
Exactly. What is life?
But the thing being, okay, we're getting off topic, but we did touch on this in our previous topic for our AI.
Yeah.
But there is an equation to it that we had talked about in the previous episode, and paradox, what it comes down to, it really is how long does a particular species exist for? Because it takes so long to travel and so long for light to travel between the various systems. Most civilizations, build and die out before people even realize that they're really even there. So in that discussion, we were talking about artificial intelligence, and that the reality being is that it'll be our artificial intelligence, whatever they are, be it drones or be it miners or whatever it is that they're doing out on the various planets. That's more likely what we will find of other civilizations than actual people. Although it's not saying that you wouldn't do that. That being said, there's lots of rumors here on Earth that Earth has gone through at least 3 evolutions of people. And, part of that is the evolution of the Atlanteans, and then they talk about the Atlanteans changing to the dolphins, so forth and so forth. But who knows?
You just love you just want them to bring back the show The Man from Atlantis.
No. But
what the heck is that?
It was a TV show in the 70s that in one of our earliest episodes, Dave expressed his undying love for.
Ew.
The Man from Atlantis.
The Man from Atlantis, yes.
Someone can over-exaggerate just a wee bit. But
a little
if anyone shouldn't be talking about man crushes, it shouldn't be him. You got more man crushes than anyone on this show.
Yeah, well, Sean Connery is Sean Connery. And
you see, I didn't even have to say his name. One of many. Anyway, I won't even mention about Sting, but anyhow.
I have nothing to do with Sting.
Are you the Hugh Hefner of man crushes? I'm just kidding.
The Hugh Hefner of man crush?
All right.
Okay, but getting back to aliens and UFOs, I mean, has anybody ever come across the one piece of evidence that really just everybody gets blown away by?
Wasn't there a war on L.A.?
I'm sorry?
The war on L.A.? The UFO that got spotted right over Los Angeles during World War II, and they thought it was a Japanese.
Yeah, there's that, guys.
And they launched something like over 1,000 shells at the thing. In fact, the fallout from all the shells actually killed 3 to 5 people. I'm not historical about it, but I mean, a lot of shells were launched into the sky, and the casings were actually killing people as they were falling from the sky. Launched at this thing, and then this thing just floated away. Huh. And what do you do? How do you explain that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain? How do you look at that and go, that was a hot air balloon, which is what the explanation was, because everything's a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to get their asses on fire.
Yeah, and
or fire.
Stuff like that. I was like, you know what? At this point, I guess they are. Maybe there are aliens. Maybe something from another world is visiting us. But then you start calculating the odds and the technology and what they would need. It's borderline magic at that point. Like,
actually, it's all completely possible.
Yeah, for sure. But to traverse the space and everything else, we're talking about a civilization that's thousands and thousands. It's literally like Star Trek encountering us. It'd be just like magic, like people teleporting around and phasers and like, what do you do? What do you?
Have you ever guys heard of the Kardashev scale?
No.
It's a scale that some guy named Nikolai Kardashev. He was I don't know if he was an astronomer, but he created a scale of how much energy it would take to power different size civilizations, and he had like type 1, which is right above us, where you could like use your entire sun or something and create what are called Dyson spheres.
Oh,
And-
yes, the Dyson sphere, yes.
Yeah, you can go all the way up. He went up to Type 3, and then they went past that to a civilization that is so advanced, which it would take, I think, AI by this point. The entire universe is possibly under it. Like, he didn't say directly that that's there now, but I mean, these things are possible with enough time and drivenness.
Yeah. Well, but at the end of the day, there's no doubt of where we are positioned, and we're positioned in an out of the way galaxy on an arm, of the galaxy, on an outer arm of the galaxy, and so forth and so forth. So things have been around for an awful long time, and they've already proven that to create basic life isn't that hard. I'm not, when they say right conditions, it's not necessarily the Goldilocks conditions. But then you do have to factor in, the likelihood of it evolving to something as complicated as we are. But that being said, you're right. Being the odds, who knows what else is out there? And similarly, who knows what else is here? Because most of the planet is covered by water. Most of that water we still can't really explore. And if we are exploring it, it's with really primitive tools still. So, there's still plenty of stuff that could be within the water system that we have no idea about. We have no idea about what the lower pressures of water is actually doing to the creatures that are actually on the bottom of the oceans. And who knows what kind of life can exist there. And that's our own planet.
That's very true, very true. But at the same time, I think that in to a greater sorry, my breaking a new tongue today, guys. To a great extent,
it's not just today.
Yeah. To a great extent. Okay. Take 3. To a great extent. Fuck.
Why don't ladies love him? Is that what you say?
That's his excuse anyway.
Well, that's when I'm able to pull off my best Sean Connery imitation when I've been using my tongue a little
too
much.
See, back to him again.
and then I'm basically talking like this all the time because my tongue is so stiff. Yes,
that's not the only thing of his that's stiff.
Yeah, but anyway, okay. To a great extent, I think that it's wishful thinking that the world would be as such. I mean, wouldn't it be just amazing if there was a Loch Ness monster, or there was a Sasquatch, or there were aliens and UFOs? No, I mean that's. I think that to a certain extent that a lot of the sightings are just that. That people want to believe that there is, because they just think that the world would be just that much more of a magical, wonderful place if such things did exist.
Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily sold on that. I mean, I can kind of believe that for people that give up their entire lives to finding, certain types of things. That they're the ones that made that choice. That it's their duty or it's their passion to go and find these types of things. But I don't think that's necessarily the case on the whole, because when you have entire cities taking photographs of something that they've seen. And now that everyone has not everyone, but so many people have cell phones, it's that much easier. You're not necessarily seeing more. You're just seeing more noise. And it's harder to tell what's real and what isn't now. Right? Because, there's so much more technology now to doctor phone images camera images and sound recordings. And
in almost all cases, though, those are easy to figure out.
Yeah. But, I would say somewhere within maybe the 60s to maybe I'm just throwing a number out there. Let's say 80s. There's a certain window there where there's enough technology to say, certain things could be captured in images or sound, but not necessarily enough technology to really manipulate it enough to make it believable.
Yeah. Well, like we said in the previous recording, if you look at, say, the TV series The $6 Million Man, and you see the Andre the Giant in the Bigfoot costume there, and compare that to the Bigfoot in the Patterson film. I mean, seriously, the Bigfoot costume in the $6 Million Man, you're talking about something that was, a film studio had the budget to make the best thing they could. And compared to what's in the Patterson film, it's crap.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. And again, that's part of the reason why it has that much more credibility to, Sasquatch, if it actually still exists or not.
Yeah.
But, it's stuff like that. And that I find that material that came out of that time period, I find, I personally am sooner to believe than necessarily anything that is either through word of mouth or, in nowadays generation, because it is so easy to really manipulate film and sound recording.
Oh,
and
yes.
so forth now.
Yeah.
That I would find it really hard to try to believe anything now, which is a shame.
Yeah.
I think unless it's standing right in front of it, you're shaking its hand, or
it's eating your hand.
Or it's eating your hand. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, fair enough. And even along that lines, we were talking about the aliens and how we had sent out the Voyager and the image that gold plated recording.
Yeah.
With all these things, and nowadays people are beginning to wonder if that was even a smart thing to do, because considering how young we would be in the evolutionary scale of the universe, who knows what troubles we may bring ourselves. But
yep.
Who knows? Maybe maybe that's the purpose of Sasquatch, is they'll set us straight.
The theory was, when they launched it, if there was a ship that captured it, took it in, that to get to that kind of level of technology, their civilization had to transcend violence. That's it.
It's a very viable theory.
It requires an immense amount of cooperation.
Yeah, but let's face it,
to get to that kind of level, like we're talking planet wide.
Come on, no, I disagree. Some of the biggest technological advances ever made were made because of war.
Yes, and we've also almost ended ourselves because of war.
One of those
many
theories,
times.
though, a lot of those technological advances apparently were technology, and that's true. But the other conspiratorial type theory is that whole rocket technology and everything else were apparently technology that was salvaged from alien craft, because it was such a giant quantum leap.
Yep.
Where humanity had nothing, and then all of a sudden they were launching rockets into the air. Now, of course, it could be just they're human. We are innovative. Maybe we're not giving each other enough credit, or giving each other too much credit. I don't know.
Well, no, the reason what you're saying has high credibility is also because for a civilization to survive, as in the length of existence for that civilization, it's directly dependent on their level of violence. That the more violent that they are, like us, the more likely that they'll blink out, like show up and kill themselves off and disappear.
Well, we haven't yet.
Yet is the operative word, because we have to be honest. In the span of space, we've been here for less than a blink of an eye.
That's true.
And we've almost knocked ourselves out several times, right? And we're not getting much better. So, what he's saying is that even though it's still highly unlikely, in our mind, it's highly unlikely for a civilization to be, to transcend that, for them to really survive and really develop long term, they really had to have given up that, even if that was part of their nature at all.
I would like to believe that that's true. I guess I'm in this one instance I'm pessimistic.
It's the theory.
Yeah.
It's the theory. I mean, it's because it requires such a massive technological leap, such massive resources, that it's either one thing. They're all cooperating because they want to do it, or they're all cooperating because they conquered their entire planet and now they're looking for something else.
Okay, well,
one second. Moses.
A huge step forward because of cooperation. So basically, peace has settled across their land, and now they're rising above their situation. Or they dominated their planet, I guess, and now conquered it, and now are looking to other places to conquer. And of course, that's the basis of a lot of Hollywood movies too. So
they're either Vulcans or they're Klingons.
Yeah. And I guess they took a 50-50 shot by launching the satellite into space.
Yeah, hopefully the Vulcans find it. Let's get the international viewpoint here. What's the average American viewpoint on why is it that there are so many sightings of monsters and UFOs, aside from the fact that they exist. But
I think it just depends on. I don't know. I've really not met a whole lot of people, except maybe people that are more like traditional, like they just aren't like interesting anyway. And they are the only ones that say I don't really believe in this stuff. But like most people I meet are totally like, yeah, it's out there, because I don't know. We just kind of feel that. I mean, if you're seeing stuff and you're catching on like, video.
Yeah.
Like that Kraken, like there was a giant massive squid that was just, I don't know what coast it was. It might have been the Caribbean or something, but a team actually had a camera on it, and on this area of ocean, and they caught this massive squid that they're calling a Kraken. Like, I thought that actually was the one you were going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But it was documented by a team of scientists. And
is it on YouTube or is it?
I think I saw it on Futurism.
Okay.
.org or something. It's a pretty cool website. But anyway, it was Futurism is where I saw it.
Okay, I'll look it up and use some of the images from it in the slidecast.
Yep.
Okay, but anyway, that's why I think we have so much area down here. Like even in Ohio, deep dark Ohio, we still have like really massive forests. Like we're almost all forest, and out west we have massive forests and mountains and stuff. So I just think that if you really look at it, I mean, we haven't really covered but like 0.1% of the entire planet ever. Like that's our total known explored area.
Yeah,
so
no,
honestly,
true. Yeah, there's lots of islands too, right? There are a lot of islands that are out there that still haven't been fully explored.
We still don't know where Gilligan crashed at. Like, what was that island?
Dear Lord.
Very true. Very true.
Okay.
And not to mention massive caves underground and all that other crap.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've pretty much exhausted the our subject matter for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we did good.
Some good stuff. Some great
stuff.
Awesome.
Cryptozoology.
So do we have any Geek Talk back?
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, Geek Talk Back is an opportunity where listeners can write us or send a posting on the YouTube site for if they have any questions or comments or yelling back at us for any of the comments or suggestions that either we or one of our guests had made. So no, I actually don't have anything new that came in from the last set. But somebody was asking about the board game episode, and in the board game episode, they were asking about if there's a place that they could go to find more information about cooperative games for kids. So, Lionel, for your store, how do you stock your inventory? Sorry, Jed, this is an episode that we had previously had, and one of the comments were these types of games called cooperative games, where basically all the players are playing against the board, and so either you all work together, or in some of the games they actually have alternative like secret missions, but some you actually do play together to try to beat the board, and more often than not the board wins, which is part of the challenge.
Right.
So where do you go, Lionel, to stock your store? I mean, how do you know what you want to stock the store with? Is it?
Yeah, when it gets to board games, obviously there are a lot of them are reflections of the actual store owners themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've one of the sections I've always now trying to work on are actually my kids section of the shop, getting in more games for young kids, because nerds eventually have offspring and they want to actually play with those offspring.
Right.
And they want to form a connection, right? Now, when it comes to cooperative gaming, there isn't a tremendous amount of selection for cooperative gaming with young ones. A lot of them are educational, some puzzle solving, memory, that type of thing. But it's mostly a one-on-one type of experience.
Right.
When it starts getting into cooperative games, there's not many out there for young ones. Now, that I am aware of.
Yeah. Well, the one that I play is Castle Panic, which I mentioned in that episode.
Yeah, Castle Panic.
I would Castle Panic. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I would hesitate to call it a kids game, because at that point you need to be probably around 7 or 8 years old. Okay. I mean, that's still a kid.
Yeah.
So it really I guess it all depends on how young.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the reading is minimal where the parent can help.
For sure.
And as you're, everybody's working together, you can help each other strategize on what will happen next, and they can be a part of that and roll the dice and that type of thing. So
exactly,
they feel.
But most people are talking around 5 years old.
Okay,
when
fair
they start
enough.
mentioning kids, it all depends. I guess it all depends. But Castle Panic's an excellent board game, especially because Dad could be the enemy, and then the whole family could cooperate to try and defeat Dad as he's sending in the monsters, and that's fun.
If
that's really cool.
If they're taking on the persona against the game, right? But for the most part, each person is playing together to go against the game. But there are extra rules where you can sort of keep track of the things that you personally kill, and total up the points to see who actually defeated the most number of monsters.
Exactly.
But that sort of, I find that sort of takes away from the game. But anyway, so back to the question though. So how do you find the new games, or do you have like a website or?
Well,
I
go to a lot of shows. Yeah, I go to a lot of shows. I go to Gamma in the States was an absolutely excellent one, and we
Gamma.
Gamma, yeah, it's for industry people. It's not a public show.
We can't go, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not so much.
So anyway, we got to wrap it up. Lionel, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, guys. Unfortunately, I got to split.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
It was nice meeting you again.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
And thank you, Jed, as well.
Yes, and thanks for everyone for coming. And
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, we've got a few people that we're going to do the Geek Court, where they have had ideas of things that they've been talking with their friends, and they can't come to an agreement as to what should actually have happened, or if something should have actually happened,
or if the movie sucked.
Well, that too, if the movie sucked. And they can't get an agreement between them. They can bring their argument to us at Geek Court. And what we're doing is we're recording little episodes, 5 to 10 minutes, where each side gets to argue their case, and then we will look at the evidence, and we will decide which is more correct based on the evidence they provide.
Okay, that sounds great to me.
So reach out to us. We have one more slot left, so please reach out to us if there's somebody that they want to argue with on the air. Feel free. We welcome it. Bring it on.
Okay. So, that's it for another episode of the Geek Talk MD Slidecast,
yeah!
Pack up your lucky dice, put away the Chinese food menus. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.